So healthcare systems around the world are really under pressure. Governments are really struggling to keep up with the rising costs of healthcare. And we know many countries are experiencing difficulties to get the support and the service they need to their citizens. In places like the UK, people need to wait up to 1 year to get a non-urgent surgery. In places like France or Spain, people wait up to 120 days to see a specialist. And I don't want to get to talk about the US, where around a third of the population doesn't have any access to quality healthcare. So, hello, my name is Itxaso, and my GP at Notion Capital, and we are a B2B software investor. We invest in early stages of B2B businesses across Europe. And we truly believe that technology can improve some of those issues and challenges that many countries are facing in the healthcare space. And following that, we did an investment in a company called Nelly, and I'm here with Niklas, the founder. Hi, Niklas. How are you?
Hi, Itxaso. I'm great.
So we participated in your last funding round, 50 million round. Congrats. It was earlier this year. I know you are based in Germany. Instead of me introducing you, obviously we know each other, but why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about Nelly a little bit more?
Sure. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Niklas, one of the co-founders, CEO of Nelly. We started Nelly because we have the strong conviction that fixing healthcare can be done by improving operational processes. We see a huge pain for medical professionals. So we started Nelly to build the agentic infrastructure combining AI and fintech to drastically remove admin friction and enable medical professionals to focus on patients rather than on paperwork.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we are going to touch through a couple of topics. We are going to start with a couple of statements, general statements around healthcare. Then we are going to talk about Italy, particularly as a market, because I know it's a primary market for you, and the differences between Italy and other countries that you are serving around Europe. And we are going to finish talking about the quality of those solutions to patients, ultimately. So to start, I'm going to throw a couple of statements, and I would like to hear from you whether you agree or disagree with those statements, and they are about technology and healthcare in general. So let me read the first one for you. Let's do this. Patients will trust AI-generated medical advice more than traditional medical advice within a decade.
I partially agree. I'm very certain that that AI will grow on patients, and especially in sectors like triage or symptom checking. I see it growing more and more, but I'm also very convinced that the relationship and the trust between doctors and patient is deeply rooted in trust, basically, and we see that like reassurance and empathy will always play a big role. And I mean, we all probably know with friends, family, etc., like where we had like people that we love in a tough medical situation, and what you usually do is you go to multiple doctors, and you have to find the one that you trust most. So this aspect will never go away. That's why I partially agree. I don't believe that AI will fully replace doctors, and also can do it even in a decade ahead.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I was looking for some stats in this respect. And so there were some stats where they asked healthcare employees themselves whether they believe AI can really improve the way they provide service and the way they treat patients. You're not going to believe this, but 79% of the people answering, which are healthcare workers, believe that, yeah, the service they are providing and the quality of the care is better when doctors and assistants are assisted with AI. Now, I have to say that this percentage drops significantly when they go to things that are a little bit more complex, like a surgery led by technology, for example. They were more skeptical of having AI lead those, but that's yeah, and definitely an interesting one. Let's talk about the second one. AI will replace more healthcare administrators than doctors in the next decade.
I fully agree. There's a lot of work that shouldn't be done by human beings. It's very repetitive. It's also very, let's say, rule-based, and we see it already today. However, there's one thing that I want to stress here. I don't even think it's about replacing, it's about filling the gaps. We see this every day, that also healthcare professionals don't need to be scared of getting replaced by AI. It's basically AI filling the gaps of the shortage of skilled workers that we see today, especially in countries like Germany, but also Italy. And it will basically make their job more attractive again, because I mean, I did the job of a let's say medical admin worker for 2 months to really understand the problem, let's say in the early days of Nelly. And I can just tell you, it's such a draining job, and you have to be also very, let's say, empathetic with your patients. On the other side, you have to do very, let's say, stressful work on outdated software. And I always have this anecdote where I was sitting next to an admin worker, and she gave me a lot of insights, and I asked, like, okay, is there anything good I can do for you? Like, I don't know, bring some chocolate, etc. And she was like, Niklas, just bring me a glass of, or just bring me a champagne. I just need alcohol in the evening. That's the best. So I guess, like, with the solutions that we have today, and also the latest technology that's coming up, we can free up these people from the draining work and make their job, the system-relevant job, more attractive again.
Yeah, it is interesting because I was looking also at some stats, and in terms of the NHS, which is the UK system, healthcare system, it looks like around 70 to 75% of employees already are touching AI in one way or another, and the majority of those are in admin positions. So it is already assisting many of the healthcare systems in the world, and probably will go farther and farther, right? And the last one, the last statement, AI will make healthcare accessible and equitable worldwide.
I agree in particular. I'm very certain that AI can help democratize access to healthcare. However, there are other burdens, like infrastructure, also, I mean, in the end, it's also an investment topic. It's also political willingness to push this forward. So, yeah.
There are different challenges, right? And I think anybody around the table, when they are building healthcare companies, and it's something that I always loved about Nelly and investors, we always love is when the founders, in fact, spend a lot of time with their customers, and so they can really understand their workflows, and they can really understand how those technologies are going to fit on the day-to-day operations of those, not only the workers, but also the patients, and how are they going to adopt those? Because apart from the technological barriers, there are also some disabilities and people, elderly people, not being able to, in fact, use those properly, which I think it is a big issue, and CAT's a big part of the population which uses a lot of the healthcare systems today, probably much more than everybody here that is healthy, young and healthy here. But hey, enough about the worldwide. Let's talk about Italy now. I know you are targeting Italy as a main market. Tell us, well, when we invested, you were almost purely in Germany, and you were evaluating different countries, and Italy became one of the countries that you wanted to target, and it's the first one literally where you are investing at the moment. So tell us a little bit more about why Italy, what makes Italy attractive for you, and
Sure.
what is interesting here?
So, I mean, first of all, Italy is a beautiful country. As a German, I come here every year, and I just love the country, obviously, but this is not the main reason, but a nice side effect. In general, it's market size. So, in our ICP is dental clinics, and you see in Italy 50,000 dental clinics. Just in comparison, in Germany we have 42,000. So it's a large market.
So Italians still look perfect.
Yeah, it's also because you have many, like, let's say, smaller dental clinics operated by, let's say, a single doctor, and this is something that obviously is very interesting for us because they need even more support on the admin side, and they have more pressure on the cost sector. Also, speaking in numbers, like we did an let's say analysis and across Europe on, let's say, the ratio of admin workers on one dentist slash doctor. And in Germany, it's 2.5, so 2.5 admin workers on one dentist. In Italy, it's 2.3. Wow. And we always thought, like, Germany is very bureaucratic, but I have to say, even though I love Italy, it seems also very bureaucratic. If you look to Switzerland, it's at 1.4, right? So it's a large difference. And hence, we saw, like, a very good product fit for us in that regard. Also, just one anecdote, when we spoke to customers there in Italy, let's say one larger roll-up chain in the dental sector said they have to, there's a regulation in Italy where you have to store the patient documents for the entire life of patients. So they said, okay, this is not, manageable, so we stick to 20 years. In Germany, it's 10. But it means, like, they literally sitting on piles of paper. They have to rent storage to pput all these documents there. And this was like a beautiful, let's say, case for us. Yeah, and an opportunity. Yeah, and then it is simply market size, as mentioned. Also, in terms of population, it's the most interesting market for us next to Germany.
Yeah, that's definitely an opportunity, and some countries are much more bureaucratic and maybe than others, right? And definitely we know there is a fear or losing that information that might be useful, but how long are you going to be storing all this information, for sure? One of the things, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of investors around the table that we consider when we are investing, is that definitely AI and technologies are cutting costs. Building efficiencies and cutting cost. And we know that in the healthcare space, some of the providers, insurance businesses, they really want that to happen. But we also know that in some cases this affects patients' experience. What has been your experience, and is there any fear from those small clinics to lose that touch with the patients, or to reduce the quality of the care they are providing to patients?
Yes. So I would say in general, AI can help to streamline operations, and by that giving more access to healthcare. I mean, I myself had to wait 3 months to get an appointment with my dermatologist. And when I tried to call my dermatologist, I tried really, like, for 2 weeks, I couldn't reach them. On the flip side, I'm in that regard maybe a bit old school, but just also a human being. I love to speak to a human. So, I mean, ideally, I would love to have a human on the phone, ideally the doctor directly, but I understand that's not feasible. So I rather have an AI, for instance, picking up the phone and taking care of my matters to help me. The patient experience definitely will be improved. We always have to understand where we're coming from. I mean, in Germany and also in Italy, we have the problem of a patient overload, an aging population, and not enough supply, right? So this is where we need AI to make sure that we increase efficiency, we fix the operational pain, so that we all have better access. And on the other side, I mean, we also using AI in a fintech let's say, from a fintech angle, and that means like we help to optimize the healthcare costs. And we see this in Italy, for instance. Dental is not covered by statutory health insurances, which is different in Germany. But by that, I mean, we can also offer credit to get the desired let's say, treatment and don't sacrifice on the quality. So yes, there will be definitely large improvements, and they are already there today.
So in fact, one last question about that, because obviously when we talk about regulated industries, there are two main industries very, very much regulated, and that's healthcare and fintech. And you are tackling both of them because you are providing credits to those small clinics, and you are obviously within the healthcare system. What would you say about navigating the intricacies of those two very regulated markets? And what advice would you give to founders when they start their journey?
No, absolutely. That's a very good question. So first of all, yes, it's very painful, but it's also a big moat, right? Because this is the work that is not as much fun as designing new products, testing with AI, and working more on the, let's say, UI UX side of things. However, like one clear advice is you have to get in touch with regulators early and develop with them together. Don't trust lawyers. I just have to say that, and this is a very hands-on, straightforward approach, because lawyers might find gray zones and loopholes, etc. But if a regulator doesn't like what you do, you're gonna have a harder life. So getting in touch with them, and yeah, it's like it's a tough one often because you need to also move fast, and regulators often don't give you the feedback fast enough. But building that relationship and treating regulators like your most important customers, meet them in person, have personal conversations. That's I would say, number one advice I would give. And I mean, myself, I'm coming from fintech, worked at N26 very early, or Klarna. We always had these issues, but the better the conversation and the relationship is you have with regulators, the more easy is your life, full stop.
Amazing, excellent. So thank you so much. I definitely wish you all the best in Italy and around Europe, and we hope we can get our dentist admin processes really in place in the next couple of years. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Niklas.
Thank you.